Hey, Reg. I'll wave at you. Waving. Thank you. Thank you. Had to be sparkly, had to be patterned up on this Sunday, you know, the vibes. Oh, it's all good. Do you want to redo it? I think it's fine, honestly. Hey, Cam. Hey, Bree. Oh, now it's a party. We got the four of the most powerful people in the universe all on this live respite. Ciao.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. It's giving.
Yeah.
Laying.
Okay.
Period. Yep. Yep.
I'm in the respite.
You made it.
Wow. What a moment in time. What a moment in history. Hi, potty. Grand rising.
Grand Rafternoon. I think we discussed this last time. I can't remember what the consensus was on what that actually means, but or what the actual term is, but yeah.
Grand afternoon.
Grand Rafternoon.
Peace and Pan-Africanism.
Period.
Yeah, I have my laptop.
Same. We are professionals.
Kind of studious, though.
Studious. Prepared.
Mm-hmm. In the respite.
In the respite. With the tech.
On wake. Yeah.
I can't ever do it without this because I always think of Santana being like, what's your name, B.O.B.? So they calling you Bob? Hi, Jada and
Anisa. Hello, Grand Rising siblings. Peace and Pan-Africanism.
Blessed Sunday, indeed, Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
On period. The kite emoji. One of my favorites.
Very good one. Very good one. Out of the new emojis, like what is your favorite one?
Okay. Let me tell you something. Sydney Jefferson and Zoe keep sending me that gay ass hand heart emoji. I like, but it is gay as hell. We're not doing that. We weren't doing that. We haven't been doing that. But I respect it. Today, I'm going to be drinking this kombucha.
Ooh. I forgot. I should have got a beverage. Let's get the bev.
Yeah, we need assistance.
We're on that level. Like, my hand is open. Where is the...
Let me get a budget. It's done.
Yeah. So I remember earlier... What'd you say?
I was reading the comments. I do love a probiotic.
True. Got to keep that gut health top tier.
The gut is where the third eye is. Okay. But let me refocus.
Yeah. I remember earlier we were talking and you wanted to like wish everybody a very good thing. Yeah.
Greetings, salutations, peace and Pan-Africanism. I would like to wish you all a happy Juneteenth Eves. It's the freedom for me on wig, the house edges.
Period. It's the
Her.
generational sleigh of wealth for me. So
The generation.
can't wait to celebrate.
Mm-hmm. On the boots.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of celebrations and things that we like to celebrate, um, like we were talking about duos and our favorite, most celebrated duos. People that are come in pairs, ones and twos, and you never, when you see them, you see the other. They're never far away or far apart.
Mm-hmm.
And
like me
we
and
have
you.
a particular duo. Yeah, we are a duo.
Yeah, like you and I. Some would
But we
say.
also have like personas
Mm-hmm.
that we relate to that are a duo. And who are they?
Who are they? Me and you, of course.
Right.
Nikki and Drake, you know.
That's us.
Yes. Different font, same vibe.
But for the audience, like who is who? Because they don't know.
Okay. That's a good ask. I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious.
Oh.
Respectfully.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay. I would let the audience guess, but I don't think there's enough people in here right now.
Who all in here?
It's me, you,
Wait,
Jada-Amina.
can we invite them?
Who?
I just burped. Anisa and Jada-Amina.
Yeah, they're here.
Oh, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this works. I'm a bot.
Oh God, you're a troll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like remember when I would send you those fake like what is it, like Nicki Minaj, Pink Friday, give me your credit card number.
Oh my gosh. Hey, it's Drake. Can you send me $350 right now? My lights are off. I'm using Nicki Minaj's phone. Those are fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jada-Amina and Anisa, we will invite y'all into the live in a bit. We got to do a little intro stuff, and then we will be on and popping. So yeah, we're just getting like allowing time for people to kind of come in.
Where the hoes at?
Where they at?
It's 4th of July. I'm popping firecrackers. Don't pop them on me.
Yeah. I'm thinking of that meme that's like, black girl luxury, soft girl, soft life. Where the hoes at? Where the sluts? Mm-hmm. Like, where they at?
Where are the hoes?
Kindly. They're gonna get here soon though. I'll give them some time. Yeah. What else is on your mind in the realm of duos?
In the realm of duos, I'm thinking about Twin M always.
Oh yeah, how can we forget them?
We could never forget them.
Like they're the OGs.
OGs, yes, absolutely.
They created the concept of twins.
The only duos I can think of are like Young Thug and Gunna, Twin M, me and you.
JT and Carisha.
Oh yes. Yes. Santana,
Carisha.
Whoever he's standing next to.
Yeah, honestly. Literally.
Twin M, they're from Chicago.
Oh, the West Side.
Period.
Yeah, Anisa and Jada-Amina, period.
Obviously.
The duo is here today, chatting with us. Ooh, Mary J. Blige and Lil Kim.
Yes.
Okay.
Thinking of them.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige is a Capricorn.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That's something to think about. I think Lil Kim is a Cancer, so that's like cute. Polarity. Yeah.
All right, well, it is 3:10, so we're gonna get right into our chat, and I will start by welcoming everybody into the respite. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Within. Salutations. Um, Within Digital, if you didn't know, is a digital respite. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said peace and Pan-Africanism.
Yes. So Within Digital is a digital respite engaging Black artists, creatives, and the art curious in curated conversations about art, the creative process, and being Black on the internet in the 21st century.
Check out our website, withindigital.net, for our curated talks, curated convos, previous Midwest connection with Daryl D'Angelo Terrell, the lens-based artist from Detroit. And make sure you are subscribed to our newsletter.
Period. Withindigital.substack.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just to set the stage, so we're just going to cite some digital boundaries. So as a reminder, Black people are the priority in this space, non-Blacks hush. The archive from this conversation will be accessible on IG, the net, that's withindigital.net, and the tube, which is YouTube. And also, any of the phobias are not allowed, so keep it cute. And you can be blocked and banned, so boom, boom, boom. And if you have questions, you can DM or comment them, or you can email to wearewithindigital@gmail.com. And so we also have some emojis. Every live, we try to use some emojis to just encourage participation in the chat and solidarity and admiration. And you can even hate emoji if you want, but as long as we're getting that engagement, that's all that's on our mind. So
yeah, let's get the mics up. So we will introduce ourselves now during this part. Existing within the nexus, the ironic and the real. I'm Bree Robinson. I'm an artist, curator, and writer currently based in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm presently a fellow at Zygote Press, and I'm creating work that exists as a portal of sexuality, desire, and Black dynamism. I'm passionate about humor, pop culture, and green foods and beverages.
Period. And I'm Candace. I'm a photographer, art director, poet, etc. from Cleveland, Ohio, currently based in Washington, D.C. And today I am anticipating the return of pomegranate season. I'm missing them. I need to have my little pomegranate arrows, the jewels, the seeds. So anticipating that.
Delicious fruit. And our guest today, we have a dynamic duo today. Two people, two on, some would say. Jada-Amina is a Southside Chicago born and based Black Indigenous American interdisciplinary artist and cultural worker. For Jada-Amina, remembering is the ancestral technology tethering cosmic currents and the ravines of our past. Their sound, video, and other collage work exalts the materiality of fragmentation, transposing the analog and sampling cultural data from both their personal archive and the public domain. They contemplate the potential of the extended portrait as a portal in which spirits transpose the static of the photograph. The speculative and the surreal are deployed to encode the immateriality of memory. Gospel is the promise of a world beyond tendering alternative melody to the melancholy of post-colonial worlds. Using the hem as a compass, Jada-Amina hums through a hush harbor, forging new ways of being, period. Jada-Amina is the seed sown by sharecroppers, preachers, larks, and midwives from Little Rock and Marvel, Arkansas, and Cade, Louisiana of St. Martin Parish. Perth.
Period. And Anisa Olufemi is a Black American, Washington, D.C. based curator, writer, and cultural worker of Afro-Trinidadian descent. Their practice is seeded by hybridized cultural productions of the circum-Atlantic, chiefly the South and the Caribbean. Olufemi rests within an Afro-optimistic, surrealist framework, pulling at the common threads between motherlands and chocolate cities as they amend and reimagine Black life pre- and post-emancipation. As a child of the Black Atlantic living in the wake of plantation economies, Anisa Olufemi maintains that possibilities of collective liberation are bound to our radical reimaginings of Black being. Such critical fabulation is motivated by their soft spot for lush lands, familial lore, and Black ecstatics. acknowledging and deepening our relationships with the land that mothered us. This is the vision of a Black pastoral that Olufemi calls forth through their curatorial work and community activations. Anisa is the daydream of caretakers, sharecroppers, and matriarchs from Cuba, Tabakite, Tilparo, Trinidad, and the northern neck of Virginia. So we are so excited to be here with y'all today.
I love words.
Me too. Me
too. Wow. Welcome, friends.
So we're gonna Jada-Amina and Anisa, y'all can join or request to join, and we will let you in. And our first question, as you kind of enter in to think about, is how are you entering the respite today? So, yes.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Hey.
Hi.
We in a respite.
We are. We're here together.
Wow.
All of us.
What a moment.
What look like things are happening? Okay, yeah.
Crazy. Hello.
Hi.
We in a respite.
We're in a respite.
Yeah.
We're all here.
Yeah.
I'm trying the respite frazzled with a really low battery on my phone. I have no idea why. So
you made it. And we're here. And we'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Words are the best.
That's what we do there.
Thank
y'all.
So
how are y'all? Oh, I was just saying, how are y'all entering the respite today? How are y'all feeling? What's on your mind?
Okay, I'll go first since I'm laughing. Yeah, I called Jada-Amina this morning and I was like, child, I'm so tired. I feel a lot better now. I realized that I had more time than I thought, and I have eaten and hydrated and caffeinated, and I'm getting some fresh air now. So yeah, I feel a lot better than when I woke up this morning. I feel like I have the capability to say words now. So yeah, I'm very excited. I really appreciate how you all have set this up and just kind of like setting the stage in this way. I don't know. You guys also just seem really brilliant. So I'm also just really looking forward to like this dialogue. I feel like it's gonna be really fun. So
thank you.
Yeah, like I said, like my phone is like on 9%, which is so I'm gonna have to like switch my phone around because you know, like when you have the charger in your phone, you can't stand your phone up. Mm-hmm. So the past I've just been like just tweaking out. And yeah, I'm in an awkward position in my house just because like this is where the best sunlight is. So it's a vibe. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I was telling Anisa, I was like, I don't think I mentioned this, but Bree and I were in a fellowship. Was it a fellowship? Yeah, Studio Museum Harlem, something like that for museum professionals. So it's cool to reconnect. We were in a dialogue not very similar to this, but we were just critiquing and like I always was talking shit. So I think that pretty early on. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet you, Candace, as well.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here with y'all. I've been thinking about it all day, just excited to share space and conversate, because that's what it's all about in the respite. So thank y'all so much for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for being in the respite. So now we chat this installation that we are doing. Firstly, one of the things that we noticed were how artful and poetic that your bios are, and like the role of language within that. So our first question is, what is the importance of articulating your practice in relation to the role of work you do? Like, does that impact the manifestation of your art? Would you say?
I'm sorry, could you run that question back? It like cut out for a moment. I feel like I heard most of it.
I'm gonna try again because I have 7. One thing we noticed was how artful and poetic your bios are and the role of language within those. What's the importance of articulating your practice in relation to the work you do? Does it impact the manifestation of your art?
Mina, do you
I'm
want
gonna let Anisa take that because Anisa's no, because Anisa's doing deep dives right now with folks, and I don't know if you all have seen that. So that's like a plug, bestie plug. But Anisa, I'll let you take that and lead that.
Yeah, I think like in terms of how my bio comes together, I'm constantly like revisiting it just because I don't know, like the work has definitely been the same in terms of like what I aspire for the work to like create in terms of affect, but you know, in cultural work, but I think like just the nuance and just the level of like detail to where I'm able to communicate it is changing. And I mean, the work is just becoming more, it's just the work is maturing. And I think that like for, you know, how I approach my bio, and you know, it's a very collaborative thing. I think like the reason that the bio is like so important for me is because it's an opportunity for me to like really give people a taste of what I'm trying to conjure in terms of like, okay, these are the kinds of like textures and like images, and you know, these are the places that I'm pulling from, because that's so much a part of the work that I'm doing is like storytelling, and really trying, and like in this world building, I think like it's important for the bio language to kind of illustrate that a little bit. And yeah, it also just kind of helps me to remember and kind of ground myself in like, okay, how close am I to like what the work hopes to do and then what it is doing. And so rewriting my bio, you know, every few months, whatever, it's a moment of reflection for me to be like, okay, you know, what are the goals here and how am I doing it or not doing it? And then I walk away from that with a little bit more clarity, especially like in communicating to other people, you know, like it's Jada-Amina and I work on our bios together. We came from undergrad together. And so I think it's also just a reflection of the conversations that we're having with each other and with our other peers, because this is a collective thing. Like there's so many through lines between the way that I approach my bio and the way that Jada-Amina does. And I think it's also a matter of like really illustrating that connection, you know, to other people. Like we are definitely peers in thought, like we are of the same ministry. So I think the fact that we approach our bios like with a kind of similar flair and a similar aesthetic, also helps to unify, you know, like this collective thing that, you know, Jada-Amina and I, and then like several of our other peers are doing. And where we are situated, like specifically within like arts and cultural work. So.
Wow. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll say that a big part of it for me, as a cultural worker, I'll speak from that lens too, just because Anissa's totally an artist, but Anissa's a curator. So Anissa's role in that, she is always thinking about like artists very contextually. There's like a sort of dual viewership, and as a cultural worker who like dabbles in curating out of necessity, at times I have reviewed artist statements, and I'll read the artist statement, and there'll sometimes be a moment, or a bio, and I'm like, that's not what your work is doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what it's actually doing. It's doing way more, or it's doing way less, you know. And honestly, and that's like shade, but it's true. Because yeah, there's also, for me, I think I can get lost in the work and lost in the cerebral. And so it's really meditative and cathartic for me to I spent 7 hours probably on those two paragraphs because like I had to revise the shit and be like, that's not what the work is actually doing. Like maybe in a year or maybe like last year or maybe 3 months ago, that's what I thought it was doing, but it's not doing that. Really listening to your work and then also getting caught up in like so much of what I'm saying in the bio slash artist statement, because the ones that you got are kind of that you all just read out are kind of like short form because we have a lot to say, and they're like also tailored for this audience in this format. So I'll say that. But I mean, I'm living that theory every day. Like, so I think it can get really muddled for me, where it's like I'm talking about my personal archive. Like that is harder to talk about than you think, and harder to maybe not harder to talk about because I actually talk about it very well. But I think a big challenge that I see with my peers, and that I've noticed that I've had like intimately in my studio practice and like in my alone time with my work is that it is this intimate thing that we're trying to mitigate for ourselves selfishly, and then we're expecting other people to enjoy that shit. And there's this sort of there's this negotiation I think that we're making when we're making the work where it's like this is for me, but also like I'm calling myself an artist, which is like in my eyes like you are a steward of culture. Like this is for others, so how am I making this language and what I'm trying to say accessible? How am I inviting and being generous with what I'm thinking and what I'm doing with a larger audience? So I think that like that practice of writing, and the reason why we're revising is because our practice is growing. Like hopefully your practice is growing, so you're gonna want to touch that up and you're gonna be like having these aha moments. Like Anisa and I are constantly like, whoa, like, yeah, like for me when I came up with what did I say? Ravines of the past. I'm like, yeah, the past is like a river. Sorry. Like that. And those poetics are, we're also poets. And I think at the heart of it all, like the poetics drive all of our personal and artistic practices in general. Because life is cute like that. Life is a poem.
Yeah, I feel like what it comes down to is like there's just so, and I think the last time we were editing, it, it's like it's just such a challenge. It's like it's so many things, and like the bio, trying to approach the bio with some poetics and like with that level of like, okay, this is the way I want to talk about it. It really helps to really ground yourself in like, okay, it's so much, but it's also very specifically, you know, and that's important because sometimes the work is really overwhelming, especially when you're dealing when the work is so personal, like Jada-Amina was just saying, like, and it's so wrapped up in your everyday. Because it's like, okay, it also helps to make that separation. Okay, this is the work and this is my life. But then also here's the in between, you know, which is the practice that we have. So I'm sorry, there are white people in the store talking mad loud.
This is a Blacks only live stream. But yeah, I really love everything that y'all said about the work, like the bio being constantly evolving and being collaborative, and like you know, the intention of, you know, being very like purposeful with your words because you're really trying to, you know, communicate your practice beyond yourself. And yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's hard. Like this shit is not separate from like the being. So why would it not be? Yeah, it's giving. Next question. As we know, this iteration of Within Digital is a Midwest connection. So our question now is, how has the Midwest informed your practice?
That's for you, Anisa. I want to do where you answer first.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
The question is, how has the Midwest informed your practice as both curators and artists?
Yeah, so much. Um, okay, so my relationship to the Midwest is that I moved to Chicago in 2016. I had just graduated and was going to undergrad at SAIC. And so, yeah, I didn't know anybody in Chicago. I didn't like, yeah, I just didn't really know much of anything. It was actually kind of like a last minute decision to even go there. And so, yeah, I just like very quickly fell in love with it. I mean, like not necessarily just the city itself, but like just the energy and like the legacy like of Black history there. Specifically for like Black Chicagoans, that is just such a they like Black Chicagoans just have such a way of world building. And it's just really meaningful to me because, you know, like I'm from PG County, very much so DC adjacent. You know, I feel like, you know, coming from another place that is extremely gentrified, um, living proof right now, like these white folks, like, you know, two doors down who are not from here. Um, and kind of seeing the world building get more like smaller and smaller, you know, pushed farther and farther to the margins, the displacement of it all. And I think like seeing Chicagoans still preserving these like, you know, music, like genres, like ways of living, like traditions, like even in the domestic space is just like, you know, even the Chicago, like the West Side and the South Side, you know, those being such, there's just such a specific, you know, thing to it. And I think like the level of pride in that and the level of preservation that Chicago really puts energy into, like the Black Chicagoans are doing such amazing work in that preservation of culture and like recognizing that culture as significant and worth protecting in this very like uh just direct and like, intentional way. There's a certain level of urgency to that preservation. It just made me want to learn more about it and just like bear witness to it all for real. Because I wasn't even on some like, oh, I'm gonna this city is cool. I'm gonna learn everything about it. You know what I mean? I just was very much so like Black in a city that I'm not from. You know, moved out south after my first year of school because I had to get off campus. I couldn't afford to stay there. And, you know, met people, fell in love, made friends. You know, everybody that I connected with was from Chicago. So hearing, you know, those testimonies and like, you know, meeting Jada-Amina, being really pulled into those like histories, right? Like meeting Jada-Amina's family. Like I've spent so much time with Jada-Amina's family over the years. And like similarly with other people I know from the city. And so like just bearing witness to that so openly and with such a deep admiration and respect because it's just such a beautiful thing to see those generational, like, you know, here we have like generational Washingtonians, you know, and to see that in the midst of such like rapid, aggressive like gentrification and erasure and policing is just always such a sacred thing. And so and seeing those like this whole thing of sister cities, right? Like Jada and me talking to them about like how I see those connections between DC and Chicago. It's been like a hugely, you know, it's been a huge part of our research and kind of what we've been thinking about over the years. Because like there's a world building practice in every like Black like city, you know, every chocolate city, right? Has these like sites that are so specific and so like the Black ecstatic, right? It's so beyond. They're transcendent in the fact that they can kind of get reactivated even in the midst of like losing physical like buildings, right? Like in the wake of losing cultural capital in a city. The fact that those things, how those things get carried has been really inspiring to me. And then also the last thing is like that connection to the South. It's the same thing with DC. It's like so many times growing up PG County, like everybody for the summertime is like, oh, what you doing for the summer? Oh yeah, I'm going to like South Carolina, North Carolina. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to Georgia for the summer, like visit my aunties and like stay with my grandma or whatever, and like, you know, go kick it with my cousins. And that that's kind of like going back and, you know, hearing Chicagoans talk about like, oh yeah, like my folks from Arkansas, you know, this very, very aware of, yeah, my folks are from here, you know, and it's always naming these different places in the South. And then that kind of ongoing like return that happens. It's never like this hard line where it's like there's no going back. And I think that was so important because it was the first time I really was like, wow, just the idea of the motherland and like the thinking more about the Great Migration, like what we carry with us, you know, and how so many of those traditions are hybridized like in this city like scape. But how that like kind of way of being and that very specific approach to like family and cultural preservation, and like preserving history, like all those things are kind of carried, just in like different ways. So that conversation has been really important to me because I think that the Midwest has a very specific place when you're talking about the Great Migration, but it's also like, I don't know. And I mean, I feel like Jada-Amina, like you should carry it from there because it's like I can't even really get into all that the Midwest offers. And then there's like the spirit of it, right? We talk a lot about like the gospel and like the tradition of the church, you know, in the Midwest. And I would like for you to bridge off on that, if you don't mind, because I feel like it's important.
Bridging off, yeah. Well, I coined slash call Chicago my surrogate motherland. It is a place where, you know, it's messy. Like I have a intense. It's like your family, right? Like you fuck with them, but you're like you're sick as fuck. Get help. And that's my vibe with Chicago. I'm like, you're sick as fuck. Like I was literally, there was a moment, there's been a couple of moments where I'm like, wait, what is that noise? Because one of the talks that Anisa and I had for Dreamscapes, actually, I'm pretty sure there were gunshots or some crazy shit. Like, so like that's the vibe. Yeah, I don't really know like what to say other than like I'm from here. Like I'm from the south side of Chicago. Ain't much more to it. I think Chicago is the most premier city on the face of the earth. I think that there is such a genius here. What Anisa said about like this sort of resilience, like I think we really epitomize that. And I know that there's a lot of cities, and y'all can try to fight me, you know, the people that think their city is better, but I don't give a fuck. Like, and that's also like the common denominator. Like, you can take two ops, right? Both of them are going to say Chicago is the best city in the fucking world. And I think that's the beauty of Chicago. And so much of that has to do with, to bring it back, grannies and like going to church, right? And having that connection and to family and having to survive in a place that like is forever marked by legacies like Al Capone. Like, this is a gangster. This is Gotham City. It's like, it's a really also just like oddly cinematic city. And I think that if you've ever been here, and I think Anisa would like agree, like it's like, okay, Chicago is like, I always see, I haven't seen, so I have only seen depictions of Chicago that are like wildly kind of accurate. Like, I'm like, I've never seen that Spike Lee movie. So that's, so the things I engage with, I'm like The Shy, like at least that first season, I was like, yeah. Like, and mind you, I went to high school with like a lot of the cast. So there's like, you know, that it's super, I don't know, it's super insular, and I don't know, like we'll probably get into it. I'll shut up because all I'm saying is like Chicago is everything that it is, and it's always just gonna be like that. Yeah.
Chicago, so Chicago.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, and that was the thing that was so exciting to me because it's like East Coast, you definitely know. I don't know, like PG, the DMV is so DMV. You know, the same way that you see talking about the respite, right? Like we see this content online, and so many times it's like, oh, that's a nigga from DMV. You know, like, oh, that's a nigga from Chicago. That's a nigga, you know. And I think going to Chicago is so exciting because I was so like I've always been on the East Coast. So it's like, okay, I could roll in New York, I could roll in Philly. But Chicago is like I went there and I was saying certain words and they was like, hey, what are you talking about? And I was like, you know, the way like the language was I think the first like the most memorable thing for me is like, you know, hanging out, kicking it with my friends who are from Chicago and them constantly checking me on the words that I'm using. I remember I went to Chicago, it was like, oh yeah, like oh such and such and such, and I'm not even gonna get into that, but that alone, like, was like, oh, like, nah, that does not mean that here, you know, or like you calling it Jack, that's like not square, like, and then that was the first time that I really like became aware of just the like the even like regional languages, like this just the specificity of it all in terms of like the style, the way you talk, like the
Yeah.
inflections, like the Chicago tongue, like the Chicagoan Black Chicagoan tongue is so specific, and you know, people noticing, you know, like in my accent, like, oh, where are you from? You know, and it was the first time. I mean, I've always known, you know, like chocolate cities are such a thing. You know, even PG to DC, like we have slightly different accents. DC folks definitely don't talk the same as PG folks. But at the same time, it was the first time where I went somewhere so far out of the East Coast, you know, like somewhere that was a different space entirely, where I was like, wow, it really be different worlds. Like, we literally speak different languages, you know, down to the sonics, you know, like the genres and everything, like down to the beat of it and the pace, like the down to like the like local architecture, you know, like even like the Chicago landscape, it being flat. Like I don't know, it's just so much to it. It was the first time I became like so excited about that specificity within a Black American experience. But then also the beauty in that we are all still so deeply connected, even though we are literally coming from such different landscapes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like beautiful, like a capture of what it means to be from the Midwest and also to be become privy to what all the Midwest has to offer, and that's really what we're aiming to do with these Midwest connections of like really driving home the point that like the Midwest is the place where like Black alchemy happens. Like people are making magic every day and conjuring things up out of fortitude, will, community, etc. And that kind of actually leads into a little bit like this next question that we have about working intergenerationally. And so, both of your work deals with this preservation of historical Black life and legacy, but you've also been doing this programming through I think it's called Passion to Profession, where you're cultivating this next generation of artists. And so the question is, as stewards of memory, life, legacy, and future, where in this timeline do you see yourself? Or how do you situate yourself?
That's hard. um
Layered.
like in this timeline, where do I situate myself? That's so hard.
Keep
Jaden,
it short. Keep it short.
I mean, I don't even know like how to I don't even know what my answer to that would be.
What are you doing?
You
This
said
is this this is so funny because this sounds like a fucking FaceTime. Like what are you actively like working through?
and I don't know. I think I'm just so in what you're saying about like memory, the narrational work, I'm just so hyper aware of my position being, I don't know, I'm just so wrapped up in the past, like and future. I'm very like definitely like in the moment, I'm definitely like very aware this is such a specific time that I'm in, but I'm also, I don't know, I just be looking into the fact that one way or another it's all kind of like an evolution of the same thing, you know. I just feel like I just like in my day to day, I just think a lot about like what my great grandmother like was on, you know, at my age, and like what my mother was on, and just kind of this like continued like thing. I think we're all like, I think especially just thinking about the women in my family, because that's who I'm always like reflecting back on in terms of like my lived experience, is I think we all just want the same thing. Like all of us, you know, and I think about what my mom wanted at this age, or just like at any age really, is just to like constantly be seeking out like a life that I'm happy with, you know, doing work that is meaningful to me, being good to my loved ones, you know, being the best version of myself, and trying my best to not get lost in the sauce. I mean, it's just like that's what it really comes down to. It's just like trying not to get caught, and I like in that not getting caught up. I'm not trying to get like wrapped up in this other stuff that I just know, like Jada-Amina and I be like, that is so not of God. Like, and I'm not like, I don't know, like definitely beyond whatever bad, but it's like that goes beyond religion, you know, like a lot of things about this life and like how it's situated, you know, in a society is so of God, and you know that just meaning it's not what we're really here for. And I think like all the women in my family, the work that they did, the legacy that they left behind, the way that they touch people, you know, like while they were here, you know, was about trying to center what really matters, you know, being good to your people, like being loyal, like not shady, no weirdo, like not doing no bogus stuff, trying to keep up with this mess, you know. So I don't know. I'd be very much so, and I would be very much so elsewhere in terms of where I'm positioned in this timeline. I'm very much so elsewhere. Like I'm here, but I'm also back there. I'm also up there. In that way, I'm in the elsewhere in an attempt to continue to be centered in what I know, the reality that I know I want to be like the case, you know, not trying to get too caught up in this stuff. So
Yeah, similarly, but I'm also right here with it. Like, it's giving very much so to a lot. So, yeah, everything Anisa said. I mean, my grandparents were the children of sharecroppers on my mother's side, and like I have a very strong connection to my paternal side as well. But I grew up. My paternal family moved back to Louisiana, like they did their reverse migration, which was great for them and great for me because I got to like live life too. But for my maternal grandparents, who I saw every morning before school and every day, like they raised, they were born in the 30s, like they were Black and born into the Great Depression. So that entirely like has shaped my idea of the world. I'm like, y'all are weird. Okay, thanks to people. Um, you know, it's given very much so as a Black person in the digital age who just like I'm sorry, for a Black person in the respite, in the digital respite, and navigating that, like I'm very much so like, this is wicked. Like I'm like, but with a laugh though, because it's also, and like, yeah, it's sinister, but it is what you make it as well. So when I say I'm right here with it, it's like I'm really much like I'm working with soundscape and I'm working with the archive because as to say everything is everything. Like all this shit has ended before. Like for me, it's very much so not y'all falling out over another terrorist attack. I know that's controversial to say, honey, but I mean, we're outside right now. Wake up. But also I'm more gentle than that. I'm being crass because like for affect, but like no, like literally. And so yeah, I'm constructing my own world. I'm bringing people into that world, hopefully, and I think like that's something I talk about when people are like, "What are you like? Who are you making for? And what inspires us?" I'm like, me, my grief. I want a respite for my grief. A lot of people are putting their grief and transmuting their rage and emotions into the digital respite. Look at Instagram. It's depraved. I love it there. Um, as far as fashion, Anisa's the curator and co-founder, not the curator, but the founding curator and co-founder. It is inactive but alive in our spirits. The pandemic kind of fucked that up, and I always tell folks, like when I'm doing like interviews, like not like with jobs and or whatever, and I'm just talking about my professional history. That was a really big feat for us, and we partnered with the Museum of Contemporary Art and had to do a lot of fighting to, you know, make sure people got paid. It was just a lot of institutional rigmarole. It really prepared us. We thought we were going to be, I think, I don't know how you all stated that, like kind of currying artists into the new generation. It did not give that. It gave like our peers were like, we were all taking notes from each other. People older than us were coming like to be in conversation, and our catchphrase, or not catchphrase, but like a line from our mission statement is, we're imagining sustainable pathways in this field. And I think that that's something that like we're interested in doing. Like Anisa is doing it through, I think, one of the most deliberate and like important like things that you can do for artists, which is to help them write about their work. I think that that's an extension of passion to profession. It's the sort of professional development, right, that like we wish we had. I always say I came into being a cultural worker, programming as a cultural worker, an arts educator and I say I curate as needed. But I came into that by necessity because I saw that there was disparity in those opportunities and in the knowledge. Like I felt like my first 2 years, I did not know half of the Black artists that I know of until like maybe my second year of college. That's fucking what? In Chicago, okay? That's crazy. I didn't know about Afro-Cobra. I did know about Afro-Cobra, but because I'm from Chicago, right? So yeah, we kind of like have landed here in this orbit where we're like, yeah. And I think a lot of the homies, like me, I literally Anisa has like a new person in their lives. I'm sorry to like be telling your stuff, but like a new person in their lives that's like mentoring them and like putting them on. And I'm like, I pray and wish that on every Black artist. Where are the mentors? Why are the older artists so? Where are they? Where are they? That's what I'll say. Where are they? And also, where are we? You know, it's giving gaslighting deadbeat parent. I'm gonna do the work of deadbeat parent today. The phone works both ways. Are we reaching out to older, you know, veteran artists? Like, I know that that's something that we need to be facilitating, and I think that Passion to Profession was doing that, and there's other folks who are doing that. Yeah, I'm thinking of just different like collectives that might like host a dinner. I mean, the OGs like David Hammond's and them, they were having critiques on Saturday nights. Like we're getting together and talking about art, and that was like the function. You feel me? I think, you know, I love the LA Rebellion artists. Which spans like 30 years. It spans from like Watts to, I believe, like the Watts riots to Rodney King uprising. Those artists are so tapped in. And I'm sure there's other collectives, but I mean, I just think that, yeah, there's a reckoning that I feel like me and Anisa are both a part of. I think that you all are a part of, I know that you all are a part of. I see, like, I'm also in the business, which is very like anti Instagram, I would say, is saying like, I see you, you're doing a great job. Like, I want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or like seeing someone, my biggest thing that I do in real life is like, I hate when a bitch act like they never seen me before. Are you crazy? Are you dumb? Anisa knows.
Sorry.
Knows. Like, I'm literally like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've actually met you 7 times, and I also tell you exactly where we were and what you were in the bad outfit you were wearing. So
Yikes.
I think part of it, not being afraid to like speak, but also that's also so deeply like a part of my pedagogy. So if that's not a part of your pedagogy, I don't know, but that's where I'm at.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People be so weird. I feel like like with what you're saying, Jada-Amina, about, where the older artists. The thing is, I don't know. Some of these older artists,
No,
artists,
no, this is important.
where they're at is not necessarily where we trying to be in the first place. And that's the thing. And it's such a, like, and like, no tea, no shade. All gratitude to, the 50 and up girls, that generation of artists, love them down. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. You know what I'm saying? We would not be as bold and opinionated and as, some would say entitled, you know what I mean? More less entitled. It's not entitled, it's more so giving, we want our due. You know what I mean? We recognize, we have that level of like confidence. It's not entitled, it's confidence. It's like to know, yeah, I am just that brilliant. Where's my coin? Like where's my opportunities, right? Like, and we would not be like that if it wasn't for them, because they gave us the opportunity to see ourselves represented in the art world, in permanent collection at like national museums, like globally renowned, like contemporary art spaces. And so I think, shout out to them. But also, I will also say this as a curator, whenever somebody asks me my favorite artist, my top 5, it's never one of the 50 and up girls. It's the people who are young Black artists, not yet gallery represented, or maybe just got representation, who are doing the most compelling work, the work that is of the times. And I think, mentorship is important. I think that we should be in conversation with them. But I think at the same time, it is equally as important, if not, I think more important, for us to put some more effort into being in conversation with each other, and building these worlds together, because at the end of the day, we are very much so trying to do like a dramatic overhaul of like what the art world is right now. Like we have very different, we're not trying to enter the art world landscape that they have forged, had a hand in creating and walking into. We're trying to usher in something. We're basically saying like, nah, I actually don't want parts of that. I want it to look like this. It's like, okay, what if, like, I want to do like, be in the arts, but also like, what if it didn't look like that? What if it was more like this? And I think like we're trying to really usher in a new era, like of like the arts world, especially I'm talking about exhibition spaces, especially when talking about arts engagement, the public, community building through the arts, like doing shit that really matters and is not just deeply about and art objects as assets. Like we're really trying to do, we're a generation of art workers who are very motivated by cultural work. We're not just trying to, I always say, like, I'm like, yeah, those girls, shout out to them, but also their work is, we in here and we Black. Like, we in this museum, we so Black right now in this museum, y'all, and it's like, that was the times, but we're in such a different time now. Look at the Gen Zers, yo. Gen Zers are on some whole other shit. We got TikTok now. Like, it's a different, we cannot cannot go into that world. We literally have to bring in a new, and so yeah, we got to do that work together because it's not going to be easy. Like, and we essentially have to force ourselves, what I'm saying? We have to conjure that and force that like forward. And that takes us like leaning on each other and us developing that rigor, and committing to that work because it's going to take all of us,
For sure.
Active participation doll. Yeah. Yeah. Jada-Amina, your project. I'm not gonna die. I'm not going to die. I'm going home like a shooting star exists with deep reference to the archives. You said in an interview once that you employ the archive constantly, encouraging people to bear witness to our visibility as Black queer people. How would you say you've seen us show up in the archive?
Queer visibility?
Yeah.
My relationship to queerness is fraught because, like, what is the landscape of queerness? I think it's much more expansive than people want it to be. Like, I'm very first of all, I'm bisexual, a very proud bisexual, as Jocelyn Hernandez. I don't know if you saw that post.
Yes. Let's get on to bisexuals.
I think
Good morning to bisexuals.
And he was like, "No, literally, that's us. Like, literally, I hope you girls can get free one day." Grandma FaceTime you. Yeah, it's very much so not about who you're fucking. Like, so that is to say, like, there's a lot of queerness in the there's people who are heterosexual, and I'm like, that relationship queer as fuck. Like all tea, all no shade, but like all tea. So, I mean, there's so much. Queerness is also, I mean, when we really look into the epistemology of the word, like, queerness is to be non-conforming. It's to be othered. So, and I'm not one of those. And I am one of those, but also like dangerous to say like to be Black is to be queer, because no, it's not. Okay, but it can be, and also it also is, and existing. I mean, I'm not going to die. I'm going home like a shooting star. Sojourner. That's a Sojourner Truth quote. It's an eponymous title, which really probes the idea and the assertion that, home is outer space. Home is heaven. Home is beyond this shit right here. And that is the gospel truth. That is God's promise to us. In all the religions that are relevant. Okay, I don't know about the sex, but relevant. That's what they're saying. This shit, life is suffering. Buddha Siddhartha Gautama sat under a tree and was like, yeah, this shit's crazy. So I'm rich as fuck. I'm literally a prince. It's gotta be more to this shit. Sat under a tree, nigga got fat. Like, that is that's life. So yeah, it's about that. I don't know. It's about.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Sat on this tree, nigga got fat. Oh my god.
Yeah. Praise him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Thinking of like the beyond and the now. Like, we kind of have touched on this a little bit, but like I think even we could even just get deeper into it of like, really, how do you view time? Like, both of you, like, how do you see time?
Oh my god. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't even know how to put it into words. I think like I said a little bit earlier, I think like this shit is all So I don't know, shit just keeps repeating, you know what I mean? Like it's all the same. I think about the shit that we're seeing today, like Jada-Amina said, you know, like, well, another act of war, you know, like another war crime. Like it's just I, and yeah, I don't know. When I think of time, it's just like shit just kind of is at this point. And um I think when I think about time, I think a lot about the landscape. Um I think like the land remembers everything. This artist, Ayana Zaya Cotton, who's really brilliant. They are writing like this body of work is called the Sita. It's like Psychofa. It's like basically this world building narrative that they're doing, and it's definitely like a speculative fiction type beat, and it's really brilliant. And one of the quotes that they had in there was like, "Water has perfect memory." And I'm just like, facts.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, like when I think about time, I think like it's so fickle because, of course, like history, recorded history, you know, like the way that we've come to understand it being like as a text based thing and like a matter of document is so unreliable. And yeah, when I think about time, I just think of the fact that at the end of the day, like this being like a person here on this planet, it's just like it's the same sky, like it's the same moon, it's the same sun, it's the same stars. Like I'm just so I'm very grounded in that, like my
Literally.
people been here, you know, like I've been here for however long I've been here, but also like we've been doing this shit, you know, like we all been doing shit more or less. And I think like about the landscape and how like being present, you know, sitting under that tree getting fat, like it offers up so much space when you're just present. Like I don't know, I think on some human shit we have a lot of memory that's embedded, you know, just in the body, in like the relationship that we build to the land. Connecting with the landscape, I think, can like show you a lot. Like it just be activating. And I'm like, maybe this is the thing, you know, for me. I don't know. I will speak for myself, but I just feel like I be getting downloads, no weird like shit. I think like I mean the download is that just that knowing, you know what I mean? Like sitting under that tree and like just that knowing that like yeah, I mean, and especially like going back to some family's lands, right? Like I have family matriarchs from Kilmarnock, Virginia, and I go, you know, every year for holidays and stuff. And my uncles and aunties would be like, "Oh yeah, we was like, you know, your age, we would climb that tree, you know, all summer. We'd be hanging off that tree. They be telling us to come inside. You know, one time your uncle fell out and and it's like, you know, sitting, you know, under that same tree. You know what I mean? Like looking at that and being like, damn, that's crazy. You know, because that shit is still very much like it's seen everything. You know. There's so much that like this land has seen, you know, that we're not privy to, and I just be trying to tap into that. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about time. I feel like it's just all. I feel like we're just so deeply interconnected across generations, even beyond what we can prove, you know, on document or even by word of mouth, oral histories, even like even beyond that. It's just some certain innate shit, you know, about being here that I think makes time a lot. I don't want to say flat, but it does kind of like it just feels a lot closer and overlapped. You know what I mean? And not so like disparate.
Yeah. Yeah. The words time is to keep, like as Anisa was. So like also I like think in riddles and think poetically like that. But it is like I mean all of it none of this shit is promised. Like I'm very much so like that friend who's going to say like the African American proverb at the club, like, but not in like a like post 2014 way. Like, not like, I'm not saying like, ooh, child, or whatever. Like, I'm really like, child, this shit is dumb. You know, like, I don't know. I know that there's something bigger than me, and I know that there's a promise that is not post-colonial. And we're living in the post-colonial. So because of that, like, I try not to be corny. And I try to, like, no, like, but actually though, because to be of this and to not have an understanding that there was a world before this and there will certainly be a world after this is really late. And yeah, I think like I'm also aware that like I could step outside, get smoked, get jammed up because I'm black, because I'm alive. My wrist I could injure this wrist. Like our time is also short. It is a very, very short time in the span of the time that Anisa's talking about. We're talking about like the sun, nigga. We are what? we got the average person, and with the perks out these days, I don't know if we're seeing 50. I just don't know. I don't know what's to it. But what I can say is the sun has been around for billions of years. And it's that same sun. And ain't God mighty? Like, isn't that a mighty thing? Like, isn't whatever you call it, isn't that mighty? So that's how I'm thinking about time. I try not to waste it. You know, I try to keep it. I think the archive is a timekeeper. It's a record. I think that have also my just one of my grandfathers is one of 17. So I have an astronomical amount of family. You know, beat everybody else. Like that is like what's always when I say that I'm always like, so yeah. But I have a big family, and so I've lost. Like Anisa has probably known me to lose. We've been friends since 2018. I've probably been to 20 funerals, and I haven't made every single one. And I mean, I'm saying like, and there's been more to pass, but like COVID and all that. So I have mad cousins. And I have mad, like, my elders live to be, like, 100 years old. Like, literally, like, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the human, like, I am an archive. You are an archive. Our organs are archiving. We have blood. Like, that's time. Like, when I look at my sister, I'm like, that's crazy. We got the same time in us. Like we have the same like history in us. So I think that it's deeper than rap for me. Like I'm definitely the one that's gonna do too much over time and like just really think super hard about what it means to be here right now. Cause that shit is deep as hell. Like even the people who I literally think suck, I'm like, there's a reason that we're here, I guess. You know, like I'm begrudgingly like. And I think that also keeps us at peace. Like when I'm in a when I see my homie in a space where they're down, I'm like, look, it really what's that African American proverb? Y'all know it? What you supposed to say when somebody is down? It ain't gonna be like this always.
Oh.
You know how many times I say that a day? I just be walking around looking at my bank account like ain't gonna be like this always. And sometimes you just halfway have to believe it. But like the fact that there's time, the fact that there is going to be a time after this. One thing we can guarantee, well, I don't know, because I'm also like, we had a conversation. I know I'm being long-winded, but I'm passionate about the shit. Like my roommate and I were talking, walking to Harold's to get some chicken, to get some fish. I'm sorry. It was so good, y'all. And I'm like literally smiling so hard, like it's my boo, but literally it was so good. And she was just saying like, you know, the world is ending and like, you know, like global warming. And like, I'm always like, yeah, but like Pangea happened. Like my grandma who was born in 1933 and my other grandma who was born in 1948 were saying that Trump was the worst they've ever seen. I'm like, they got you too, Stink. They got you. They got you. You lived through Jim Crow. Donald Trump is not the word. Like, this shit is low-key sweet as fuck. There's NFTs. There's NFTs, G. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as when you were a shorty. I promise. I promise. You couldn't vote. Like when you were born, the grandfather clause was out. We can vote. We can go to the store right now, Granny. Like, it's gonna be okay. So I think time is also, people be delusional about time. And our now, do you hear that? Like, our now can quite literally augment our lived experiences. And that shit is weird. So, shit is scary.
Yeah. I feel like time is, you know, like for real, it's like, as long as there's just like so much of it. I don't know, like time is short, but it's also infinite, that in that I'm gone and shit's still gonna keep going. You know what I mean? And I think like that's just really exciting to know. Like, yeah, I mean, with that, time is so precious. Like Jada-Amina and I, we talk about, you know, like our woes, you know, our frustrations, you know, and the work that we're trying to do, and feeling like, you know, just trying to get some shit to pop. And I think like, you know, we definitely be frustrated sometimes and feeling like, okay, time is passing, shit's not whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like shit could change at any moment. And, you know, we're always like, yo, like this time next year, everything could be different. And just like in that knowing, like our time is so sacred, you know, we don't, and it's like, yeah, we be learning our lessons. So passion to profession, it's crazy. It's like, I feel like we didn't, COVID definitely threw that off. And then it's like, I feel like it's recently come up again, you know, like we've been talking about it more often recently for whatever different shit. But like we learn from our lessons in terms of, okay, how can I be better? How can I better preserve myself, you know, and like honor, you know, my needs, like, you know, in terms of, okay, whether that's monetarily, whether that's in terms of like, you know, just mutual benefit, energy levels. It's just like our time is so sacred. Like it's so precious. And I think like we're people who are very, very committed to that. It's like, yo, don't play with my time. That shit is literally like current to me. Like I get very offended when people play with my time and in turn energy. But also, okay, yo, like Trump sucked, but also like as child, I'm as we speak, and it's like, yeah, people are crazy. Like just that idea. Like
Trump is a Gemini. Like,
you said, what?
Trump is a Gemini.
No, I'm like, people have this narrative that like Trump is like, oh my goodness, you know, like post-Trump America, and it's like, okay, yes, but
we lived through Reagan, nigga.
Literally,
we lived through the CIA putting crack in our communities.
People were so juiced about it, and people acted like, yeah, I mean, like just that period was just so hard, like especially these white like transplants be acting like Trump was their oppression, like that was their struggle that they lived through, that they survived that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, every once in a while I go back in YouTube and look up Trump crazy statements, like compilations, and I look at all of the wild shit he said. I'm sorry, like yes, he did a lot of fucked up shit, but also that man was, he was so funny though, like he was and to me it was just like really like, especially in retrospect, wow, it's so refreshing to know that it was a white man who got into office largely because of access to capital. It's just like he just like embodied.
Ooh, that's so new. Like that, it's just like literally our presidents
I'm like,
were
thank
literally rapists. They
you.
stole us and raped us. Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
It was such a moment of truth, and that's what I appreciated about it, because I'm like, that man was what it really is. That's like, Trump is what it's all about. Like his white folks are really out here like that, you know, and people were eating up, and I'm grateful for what he offered in terms of really, it gave mask off, like, and I love that. It's so necessary, because now nobody can tell me that I'm sleeping. You know, like when I talk about how wild folks are, nobody can tell me, because we had Trump. I'm like, we all know. So thanks for that.
It was a different time.
No, I mean, yeah, not, I mean, I think it's so important to be like, we use the term tapped in so much, but it's important to be tapped the fuck out. Cause if you're plugged in, like, I don't, like, please don't tell me, like, about any, like, horrible accident. My thing is, like, people, there was some, like, mass, there was a bunch of mass things happening with the church. That happened. That happened. That been happened. Like, I read about it in the Watsons Go to Birmingham when I was like 11. Like, we been knew this. That doesn't mean we don't mourn, but I think what it really means is like, if a war happened in the past, if the sun, it's like this, we don't know that the sun's gonna rise the next day, but it's been doing that shit for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't that good at math, but statistics matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and so, you know, I think that it's super important to be tapped out, to really, I know the nap ministry, all the girls love the nap ministry. You know, I love it. She is like really, inexorably just like relentlessly like take a fucking nap. Mm-hmm. And I do it. I'm like, you're right. I don't have a job. I can do that. So I be napping a lot. I nap a lot. But I also say like have conversations with your niggas too. Like, or like if you could, I like to interact with funny shit, and I think Bree, I know that you like funny shit, and you like funny shit, and you're funny. So like I'm here to laugh, and I'm here to look sexy. That's why I love Instagram. Yeah. I'm here to look sexy. Yeah. I don't want to talk about shit else. Look at my ass and this gorgeous face. Duh. That's just how I feel about it. I don't want to, no, this is not the place for discourse. That's for JSTOR in my group chat. Okay? Yeah. And so, yeah, I think a lot about the internet. In like 2018 when I was like a shorty and like, mind you that I'm 26. So like, I know I'm the old bitch here. So like, I was in college in 2014. So that's a completely different landscape than 2016. Like it just is. Okay. I was like, what pronouns? Huh? Mm-hmm. I know what a noun. I know people, places, and things. Stink. What is going on? Okay, that was 2014 for me. So I'm saying though, like when I was in 2018, when I was young and was reading a lot of bell hooks and, you know, was really coming into myself. Like I'm a less triggered person because of just age too. Like things just really don't faze me. Like a lot of this is just my age. Like I'm like, oh, you're transphobic. Well, I mean, I feel bad for you because you're stupid. How about that? You're just dumb as fuck and I will never be around you. You know, I'm not about to send you I don't care. I really don't. You're an idiot and you will soon be wiped off the face of the earth because God doesn't like that. No, literally, God doesn't like that. I'm sorry, that's not of God. So you'll yeah. But in 2018, anyway, I was doing these sort of like Instagram performances, and I still do. Like I still am slightly on my like I go through like a few weeks ago months ago, I was in my BBL era where it's just like, I don't have a BBL, but like that was my aesthetic. Right. And so like just performance for the internet is something that I'm specifically interested in. There's been times where I'm like, no. I mean, I truly do believe we are all performing for the internet. I just do. And I'm interested. Yeah, I'm just interested in like having more conversations about that. Like I talk to my friends, and my friends are highly aware that like that's a performance. I'm like, did you see what I posted? And they're like, yeah, bitch. My sister hates what I post. She's like, yeah, like she won't tag me and shit with my name on it because she doesn't want people to see my Instagram because it embarrasses her. Like, yeah.
Oh my god.
No, literally,
Wait.
it's all of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like when it comes to this digital arrested shit, I don't like when Jada said, you know, this is not the place for discourse. That's for Jay's story in my group chat. It's like, yeah, quite literally. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that. It's just, yeah. I mean, I was just talking to Jada-Amina about this a few weeks ago when, you know, Buffalo happened. And I'm just seeing, I'm trying to find my business, get on Instagram and look at some baked oatmeal and some, you know, some get ready with me videos and maybe some slime. And I'm going up my timeline and I just see all these like text posts about bodies and, you know, fatalities and whatnot. And I'm just like, God damn, if y'all don't get off the internet with this shit, you know? I'm just like, this, and what I told Mina was just like, yo, like, my thing is, it's one thing if you are using your platform to inform, right, about some shit on the world. Do that for things that are not top news stories. We know.
Yeah, it's disingenuous.
I've had 3, like, by the time on Instagram, I had already had like 3 news like I had a Twitter notification, I had an Apple News notification, and just like other shit. I'm already getting the alerts literally to my phone pinging me about this. You know what I mean? Because it's a top story that's getting national coverage everywhere. And my thing is, I'm just like, okay, we all know. Let us be on the internet and mind our business and look at the baked oatmeal and like enjoy our day. Like, I'm not trying to, I did not open that article for a reason. You know, I did not story because I did not want to see it. And so it's like, especially we have to remember, like, in this, you know, digital space, like, I understand some Black folks think like, you know, I gotta say something because this is so important. And I'm like, okay, but also you don't. And also, if you want to talk about it, if you have that on your heart, go reach out to your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? Go to that group chat and be like, hey, y'all, can we talk about this? Because I really just, this is sitting on my heart. You know, like I hear that. But also, and people think, oh, I need to make sure that my white followers understand that this is a problem and they need to see that this is okay. You don't just.
Why do you acknowledge white
Maybe
followers? I will never acknowledge my white followers.
No, literally, I'm like, hey, like there are Black people on here. This is a mixed space. It's just like, hey, chill. And I'm like, it's one thing for you to do that with a story that's not receiving that kind of coverage. Like, there's plenty of times, like, I follow a lot of people who are very pro-Palestine. I'm like, absolutely that. And I always appreciate it when I see like those stories being posted because that is underreported. You know what I mean? Like, understand, like, okay, if it's an underreported story, share that information. Still share it responsibly. Be considerate because triggers, right? But also still like, okay, share that information, you know, share those sources, like share especially the news that is not so like blatantly pro-Israel, you know, like do that work because that is important. But what's not important is for you to keep triggering your Black followers because you want to look like you give a damn.
Yeah.
Thing. Like, because it starts to, like Jada, once again, performance. It starts to give, okay.
Virtue signaling, right? But it's also, I think it's easy for me to be judgy and like I have a Capricorn mother and grandmother, and I'm a Capricorn stellium, so I'm definitely judgmental. So I'm definitely judging you bitches. I'm like, that's tacky. Take that off the internet. But also, I'm more compassionate than that, like as well. And so I'm like, oh no, we are just deeply unwell. People are yes, they're virtue signaling. Yes, we're all virtue signaling. I don't give a fuck. We all are, because why are you putting that on the internet? Write that in your journal. And I'm also of the business, like when I see people spiraling, we don't have to be homies. I will message them like, please stop posting stuff. Like, I'm not, and I mean that. I'm like, you really should not post that. Like, write that in your journal. So yeah, but I think that what it is like we are ill by the world. I have been on, I have a Twitter account where I follow Anisa. I follow like 3 people and I have 3 followers. And I just tweet my little thoughts. And I've like set up my own little algorithms. It's just like bird tweets like niggas don't even like to pay for shit. Why would I fuck with you? And I'm like, retweet. Like, it's just the most basic shit. I don't want to hear any discourse. Just the most basic love and hip hop, heterosexual thing. That's where I'm stationed. I'm like, that's all I want to talk about. So yeah, but I'll say like, there were times where I would log on to Twitter first thing because Twitter is addictive. And I would see some shit. And when I say it would change the course of my day, I guarantee you my next interaction would be impacted by that. Why am I engaging in this shit? Which is why I'm an Instagram slut and I only want to see pretty things and pretty pictures and pretty people and the occasional infographic, but not too much. Yeah.
Period.
Sorry.
I'm thinking. You're a Sagittarius?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a Gemini?
Mm-hmm.
I did my research. Okay. And
I'll say
again,
rising. Gemini rising. Gemini rising. Scorpio moon. So
kindred.
I'm scared of
are you a Scorpio?
thing. The water moon thing scares me. But respect to those communities.
But it works.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said I scare myself. It works.
Yes, it works.
Anisa, what's your moon and rising?
I am a Aries moon and a Scorpio rising.
Oh, fun.
Oh wait, Scorpio rising? I'm also a Scorpio rising.
Yeah, what's up with that?
What's going on?
It's a lot of, I don't know why. It's a lot of Scorpio rising. It's a lot of things in the world.
Yeah, a lot of things. We need less of those, except for
less of what?
Just Aries.
Aries in general.
No, I had a bad run-in with an Aries recently. Let me not do that because I don't the Aries. Let me not do that, y'all. Okay. There was something to say. Yeah, I mean, I know that it's 3:33. I know that we're at an hour. I could personally key all day, but I don't want you all to feel like because me and Anisa have long-winded answers that we just talking because
we are good.
Really not stop.
Y'all are smart.
You said what?
I said y'all are smart and I like talking, so we can talk more. I think the next question is about friendship, which I will ask you now because friendship is beautiful and y'all are a beautiful duo, and so are me and Candace. And so I'm going to ask this question now about friendship. So you were talking about bell hooks a little bit ago, and bell hooks and Camille Billups talked once, maybe more than once. I'm quoting from the one time they talked. We were talking about friendship and how Camille Billups was referring to like putting other people and like archiving your relationships with people as the most revolutionary thing you could do, like as an artist, as someone who's like working with archives. She said that you should put all your friends in it, everybody you ever loved, so one day they'll find you and they'll know that you were all here together. And I was going to ask, how does your friendship and collaboration reflect in your work? Do you see each other as guides? How does your work respond or like guide one another's work?
I should go. Okay. Yeah. Recently we had like, I don't know, an epiphany, I guess. And we realized, I don't know which one said this. I think Jada-Amina said it. you you were like, yeah, like we're like codependent, but like for our work, our practices. They no, because we were like working on each other's bios, and they were like, yeah, our practice, we're codependent, but for our practices. And I was like, whoa, no, literally, because I would not say that Jada-Amina and I are codependent. Like our friendship is not codependent. Our careers, very much so. So we are we are codependent careers. Um, just and then that just meaning like we're just constantly thinking like about it together. We're just constantly in conversation and like sharing, what's on our minds, you know what I'm saying, what we've been sitting with. We just talk very openly about the shit like that's coming up for us. Something that interested us recently and made us thinking about, some new line of research or something. Or Jada-Amina sends me audio messages that I like listen to at my job, and they're like, okay, like we should write an essay on like, okay, but like can we make a film about I'm like, yeah, every time my answer is absolutely. Like, yes, absolutely, we will do that. That's important. Yeah, like it's our friendship is, I don't know, I think like the growth of our friendship is so like aligned with like the growth of our practices. Like I just think of, Jada-Amina taking me to Cade and me meeting like all their family members and, the work that they were doing at the time and how those experiences that we had, as friends exploring together, like interested in some of the same things, wanting to hold space for this like similar concern, like around the pastoral, doing the work to go in those places. Like Jada, me and I took a couple days out from class. And we're just like, yeah, we're gonna go to a conference. Like we're so like mutually like infatuated with this work.
We're mutually delusional.
Yeah, we're mutually delusional and we're very obsessed with each other in that we're obsessed with each other's, and people say this all the time, like our partners, our friends, like our just people who have been around us are like, yeah, y'all are a little bit obsessed with each other. I'm like, no, we're very obsessed, but it's not we're obsessed because like, yes, our friendship, but also like I'm just very obsessed with like the way that Jada-Amina thinks, like we're just constantly like right here with it. And Jada-Amina has like a brilliant mind, and we're just very similarly tapped in. Like that's a nigga who gets it, and when it's a nigga who gets it, like you got to work together, because it's everything that I set out to do, like doing it in conversation, in like what is that called, when you're like a co-conspirator, you know what I mean, like all the like co-conspiring that we do, all the collaboration that we do together, it makes the work better. I can't imagine like what my practice would have looked like over the past few years if not for that like invaluable like sounding board and like contribution, this ongoing dialogue like that we have going on. We just help each other make the work more potent, because we're always going to look at the work and be like, yes, you're brilliant, you're doing great, but also, like those conversations always further like the work that we can put out in the world, like, and I think that goes both ways. It's so like reciprocal. And then friendship, reciprocity is so important, right? And I think like you see that reciprocity and friendship like in the work that we do together, in the work that we do independently, and with advising each other and stuff. So yeah.
That was the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry.
It's so true. Like it's really no rap cap. Like, yeah. I mean, my art practice would be just in shambles. Like it just would not hit the same. Anisa and I, like, Anisa is one of the, I'm sorry to say this because this is recorded, but like, it's quite literally the only person I have collaborated with where I feel confident that there's gonna be the execution is going to be just right. Like I don't think we ever hand off a task to one another. There's no hesitation. I don't do much without consulting Anisa. I mean, it's important to have sister friends who like this. Okay, just number one. I know that's gay as hell, but I mean, I wish an Anisa on every bitch because I think it's important to be able to hit your homegirl up like, bitch is tweaking on me again, bitch is throwing shade, but also be like, what should I negotiate? Should I take this job and like, what should my negotiation offer be? You know, and like, how do you feel about, okay, you think it's whack, okay, you think it needs to be revised? Because Anissa will definitely be like, yeah, but I'll be like, okay, bitch, you didn't see it for that. Fuck you. But also, thank you so much. Like, that definitely needed to be taken out. I am a bit wordy. I can. So, yeah, I mean, it's completely invaluable. We took that trip to New York for the Black Portraitures Conference was a key. And it was amazing because we walked into multiple rooms, no cap, and our work was being referenced by presenters. It was so divine, and I think that like I could only have that experience with Anisa. Period. We've gone to visit my family. I'm going to be in DC next week for Anisa's birthday. I'm so excited. That's why I randomly did a dance like while they were talking because I was like, oh my god! And then we're going to Paris in a couple of weeks. So it's like everything is about to get super potent and like fun. And I'm excited just for like the worlds we create together. I'll also say that like Anissa's like that friend who my partners are like partners exclusive. I'm unpartnered, but when I am, or when I'm dating someone or into them, they know like I'm gonna click over for Anisa. So don't act dumb. I'm going to prioritize Anisa in my life, you know, and that's just without debate. But we're also very much so like Anisa will be at their partner's house. Like I'm the one who doesn't have a partner now, so I'm like, and it's actually not really like that because we be talking all the time. But like I'll be like, okay, I won't keep you because I know you're with your partner. Enjoy your meal, you know, like. It really does not give. It's a very healthy relationship. It might be my most healthy relationship to date.
Nice.
Because bitches are toxic. Bitches are toxic because when I said that, my water spilled. So I know that's the evil eye. All right.
Extra emphasis.
In friendships, it's so important for you to like. I mean, just in general, it's so important for you to like see the people that you keep closest to you, and it to be that I'm committed to seeing you as you are, and you're committed to seeing me, like vice versa. Like, also just like being open to being seen, because you know, there's definitely relationships where it's like, you know, they're not mutually open to like, you know, letting that person see them for all that they are. I think that the reason Jada-Amina and I collaborate so well together. I mean, I feel the same way about them, like in terms of what they said. I need to make sure that's clear. I feel the exact same way. Like Jada is my closest collaborator, and that's the type of person I'm like, yeah, Jada is going to be collaborating for the rest of our lives. Like,
for real, it's true.
We're getting in terms of archive, like our goal, you know, like we want that to be a part of what we define. It's like, yes, our independent projects, but also like I want to make sure that it's recorded, like what we've contributed, you know, like as peers in thought. And yeah, I think like it comes down to the fact that, of course, like we spent undergrad, you know, 2018, we were in school together, we've lived together, we've traveled together. Like I said, they met my family, I've met theirs, and just in that time spent and just being so full and like fully open to bearing witness to that person and like all that they come from, all that they want, like just that openness about like, yo, like this is what I want my work to do, like this is where the work is coming from. Like I don't think there's anybody that understands as much as Jada-Amina does, and vice versa, like how I see, you know, where they're coming from, what they want to do. And when you have that, it's just like, who else, you know what I mean? It's like, because yeah, somebody can see it for you all they want, but at the end of the day, like if that person don't quite get it, you know what I mean? Like if that person don't quite understand, okay, like yes, I know the language you're speaking. I know the world you're trying to build. I not only do I see it for you, like I can see it myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can see like what Jada-Amina's work is going to do. You know, like what it's doing now, with full clarity. You know, and vice versa. And that's only because we've been reviewing each other's writing for years. Like nobody has read my writing as much as Jada has. Like we workshop everything together. And so when you spend that much time, it's like a relationship, like a romantic relationship. You know your person, down to like the smallest things. Like I can literally edit Jada-Amina's like page, like, you know, like whatever essay, and they'll look at it and be like, yep, this is exactly it. Because I just, you know what I mean? Like I know what they really want to say. Like with some people, it's like, okay, I see this, but like, are you really trying to say this? Like, no, I can read something that they've written and be like, it's not quite that. What you're trying to say, what you're really trying to say is this. And they're like, you're right. Like, just
like, yeah.
You know?
I also say that it's important to try, like, I have dear friends, oh my gosh, who are not Anisa, like, who are not necessarily even close to Anisa, right? Well, is that true at this point? I don't know. But I don't know if that's not true or not. But I have friends outside of Anisa who I love and respect and all that. And we also, like, they get it, right? Like, cool, we build worlds together. But it's important to, like, it's okay. You have to be comfortable with the fact that there may not ever be another Anisa. Like, there may never be another person I'm that tapped in with. Like, my life partner may not be able to edit my paper and finish my sentences. And that's okay. That's cool. Don't force it. Because I think, like, as a person who loves collaboration too, like, I am like, wow, collaboration is really could be very difficult. I mean, doing life together doing life alone is hard, and then and you're bringing all of those things, like all the things that afflict you, all the things that you enjoy and love, and that, you know, like I said, afflict you into the pot. Like, yeah, it gets messy. So I think that that's also a thing. Like, Anisa is definitely a friend I could talk to about everything, and I have friends who, like, what we do talk about is music. Mm-hmm. And ways that me and Anisa just don't talk about music, right? As a music maker, like, and so yeah, I think friendship is like a thing of utility. It's such a tool. It's such a tool for growing too. Like, me and Anisa, what we're really trying to say is we are committed to growing alongside one another. You know, seeing the world together. Period. Also, like, I can travel with this bitch. That's like my mom always told me. You can't travel with all your friends. You know, that's like a Black thing. Like, you cannot travel with all your friends. You can't live with all your friends. I could live with Anisa again. A lot of the roommates that I've had, I could not live with. You know, and that's okay. That's okay. And I mean, we can stay dear friends. You know what I'm saying? Cry on the shoulder, all that. But there's just certain things that you cannot grow with people, and sometimes y'all growing in different directions. Me and Anisa are growing in the same direction. Period. And I praise God for it, in short.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
This is how I feel about Candace. So thank y'all for saying this.
That's so sweet. So how can I ask y'all a question? How long have y'all been friends?
I think we've been friends since 2016. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so
you all were
in high school?
That was my first year.
Okay.
Yeah, my second year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, so do y'all want to talk about your friendship, or do y'all have questions, or should we end it? I'm really nervous because I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, you're not talking too much. We have more questions. We want to know everything from your brain. Maybe not everything, because that's like personal. And, like,
baby, you don't.
And boundaries are important.
It will get canceled.
That's okay.
This would be an offline, non-recorded conversation.
Yeah, we'll chat.
Period.
So our next question is, you know, in each of your bios, like going, you know, kind of back to the beginning of our conversation where we were talking about the bios, you're, you know, recalling your ancestors, your land, your lineages that are simultaneously behind you and beside you. And so I wondered, do spiritual practices and rituals play a role in the creation of your work? And is there active consultation with ancestors or any kind of practice like that?
I think Ms. Let me answer first. I mean, I think like no, I don't know. For me, I'm just very committed to like personally. I don't really There's my spiritual practice, and then there's the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I am very committed to keeping those things separate because I personally just it don't quite rub me the right way when there's too much overlap between somebody's personal spiritual practice and their professional work,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I don't like mixing those things. I'm like, it's a little bit too mixy for me. I it's some This work is so valuable, and it is very much so like a part of world building and a part of like being, right, personal tip. It is very personal stuff, but personal is not the same as like sacred. And I just feel like my spiritual practice and how I commune, and like, yeah, the ways in which, and yeah, I just don't, that shit is sacred, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
ever put that it has anything to do with professional work, because it is so, and sacred goes beyond the professional world, and those things just should not overlap to me.
Yeah.
What's sacred should remain sacred, and I think that at the end of the day, my professional work is bound within capitalism, and I never want my spirituality and my relationship to that to be tainted or just at all touched and involved within a capitalistic system. Um, so yeah, and people are like really weird with stuff like that. Then it becomes, oh, can you come talk about, you know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, can you come do a ritual? Like, I don't know, like the whole like rituals and art space and stuff. I'm like, okay. I don't know. Cultural work is important, yes, and I think there's absolutely space to talk about spirituality within the arts, like, and as artists, because artists are also people. And I think, when you're talking about black traditions, you should absolutely address spirituality and religion. But I think also like the gallery is not a sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not quite hallowed ground in that way. My altar stays at home, and I don't let people see it, and I don't talk about it. So yeah, but I mean, with that, I have a lot of feelings about that, because it's just a lot. It's getting very popular these days, and it just really rubs me the wrong way, because some shit should just stay out of the mix. Yeah, there's ways to talk about that and involve that without opening up your shit and your ancestors. Because my thing is protect your peoples. Because especially when you're dealing with the archive, right? Like Jada-Amina and I were just talking about this. Like, protect your peoples. Like, they are enjoying their eternal peace. Like, they are in that ancestral realm. Let them be there. You know what I'm saying? Don't be. I'm like, I don't want to mix them up in that. And if you do, use their likeness or call upon them, you know what I mean? Like, speak that into the space. It's just like, okay, so what end? You know, into who, and just all those things. But for me, at the end of the day, like, in terms of how my ancestral relationship relates to the work that I do, at the end of the day, I'm just very deeply connected with my ancestors, specifically like the matriarchs, like I said. And I mean, my mother tells me this all the time. I'm very much so like my great grandmother, like reborn. I am definitely like her second coming. um, and I think a lot of the work that I do because of that like my great grandmother was very passionate about history. Like she had a third grade education, but she loved history like so much. So she was just like, that's so powerful because you could know what happened before you, and learn some lessons. And she always said, like, she was a childcare professional, and like was tending to people's houses and stuff. And it's like, if she ever had the opportunity, or if she had the ability, she would have loved to like be a teacher. So, just in terms of what the pillars are for me, like what work I'm committed to, it's like, yes, like I'm very committed to my work as a historian. I'm very committed to my work as like, educator. Serving the youth is something that's really important to me. And I hope to do more work with young people. She was such a she was just such an advocate and for young folks, always well into like her final years. Like she had such a deep commitment to be like, yo, like the youth know, like like the young people are tapped in. She always had mad respect for what young people can teach you and offer. And so much, just like she was just so excited, right, about the coming generations. I carry that with me. And then just like her upbringing, like within like her father being a sharecropper, her upbringing, being within like a bush town or whatever, and how that shaped so much of her worldview. Just the different things like that in terms of pillars of like what I center in my work is definitely tied to kind of those, I think, ancestral like proclivities for me. That's kind of what I walk with. And then of course that shows up in the work. And there are definitely, I think just in that connection, there are definitely things that my interest is more directed to. But beyond that, I'm not necessarily like using those communings or like that, like my spiritual practice as a direct, like, okay, this, and now I'm going to take this into the work. It's not that for me.
That's very admirable. Admirable? How do you say that?
It's admirable. Yeah. Either one.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah. Boundaries and whatnot.
I think you're muted, Jada-Amina.
Damn, I'm having a boomer moment. But I would say like lack of spiritual boundaries gives me like the super ick. Like I'm like, you're not. And that's like no shade because I think like people that like practice, I don't really have I'll just say I'm Louisiana Creole. So, I mean, I have my own practices and I come from some people, child. That's all I can say. I come from them niggas. So, we don't speak too much on that. You have to go see my Uncle Leves. You have to go by boat to see him on his house that he lived on there was no, and you have to leave things behind. So, like, I come from that. When you went to see him, like, I come from that. So, and you have to bring something. You have to bring something to him. And so I'm of the understanding that like offering, the art world ain't offering me enough, child. It just ain't. And its patrons damn sure aren't either. And that's just not I'm not concerned with the art world. Like, what is that? Like, I know about me and I know about mine. So, but what I will say is, and we can reference in my artist statement that I do build digital portals, or digital altars. I'm sorry, and many people don't know this, but when I was a young freshman, I built altars. I did installation work, and they were definitely conceptual and like highly aestheticized, like monochromatic at times. They had themes, child. But I was really, so I can say like I've participated in that, and I still do, like in the honoring of my ancestors, right? In ways that I, honestly are a bit exploitative because they're for audiences that my ancestors did not necessarily consent to. Like, I'm definitely that child who was the knee baby, the lap baby. Like, I was sitting with my ancestors, like, and then what happened? Okay, and then what happened? Like, I want to know, like, how you looked as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, like, what was your favorite snack to eat? I just learned that my grandma had two mules named Bob and something else, and I think that shit is funny as fuck. I'm like, you had a mule named Bob?
Bob?
Bob and like Tom. It was crazy. I'm like, that shit is amazing, you know? I want to hear those stories and I want to share them because I think the people I come from are alchemists. And what I'll also say is, it ain't what I'm doing ain't really nothing new. Like being an artist is being a steward of culture. How is that any different? And that's my definition. How is that different from what my grandma is doing when she makes her peach cobbler and plays in her touring gospel group at 90 years old? My grandma is that nigga, period.
Yeah.
So I just come from them niggas, and I feel like people should know them. And I feel like my people, like the people I directly descend from, are unsung. I see my people, and I have that special gift. Like I'm really like I've been the mediator of my family since I was like 5. I'm like, you're tweaking. Shh. You know, I've been that baby who's like has that very special relationship with my elders where I'm like, I literally will get my elders together. Like within reason, right? Not too much, but just like, have you thought about it this way, you know? And so with that being said, like, yeah, I'm not doing anything too different from, you know, I would love to be back in a desert or a tropical place or on the prairie as a Native American. I could be here weaving baskets, you know, not paying utility bills. But I pay utility bills. And I also have the desire to share a story and to tell a story. And so I use my ancestors as reference because those are the stories I've heard and those are the stories I find to be important. And I also incorporate my own. Because when in telling my story, it always feels very dishonest to tell a story without the archive because I'm like, well, it's completely a part of it. I can't not have an artist statement and not say like my great grandmother's was a Native woman who spoke German. Because baby, what? That's my like I come from that. My artist statement doesn't say that, but I have to say that because that completely is the reason why I am the person I am today. So yeah, but no, not too much with the like I don't know. I invoked Sandra Bland in I'm Not Gonna Die, I'm Going Home Like a Shooting Star. And when I first sent like a very rough cut, like very early on, to one of my friends, she was like, I think you should take out the Sandra Bland part. Because I think that's like gonna traumatize people. I said, and they should be traumatized. You know, and some would take issue with that. Bitch, that shit was traumatizing. I'm still traumatized, and yeah. So I don't know. I think people feel a lot of different ways about that, and yeah, it's something to consider. Like, I still don't know. I stand 10 toes behind my decision to keep her because, baby, the way Sandra Bland's story shook me to my core. I mean, how could I not? You know, how can I tell the story about my family and not tell Sandra Bland's story, or not tell it because I'm not telling her story, but how is she not a part of that? She is a part of me. And I think that that's something that I also like have said as I think we are collectively becoming more aware about the police state, and racial terror is that, you know, it's not giving, well, that could have been me. Because I remember being like, Black women, because of the erasure of Black women in general, and also just like the way police brutality and the way it affects Black women directly. I just remember being like, wow, I didn't know this could happen to me until then I learned it. It does happen. It's been happening all along, and in very different ways, than it happens to Black men, like in the home, right? And so, yeah, instead of saying that could have been me, it's like, that is me. And that is like something that I carry. Like, that literally is me. Like, when a Black person dies by state violence, that is me.
Yeah.
A part of me has left. So, yeah, that's how I'm thinking about ancestors for sure.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah, so next question. How can, this is kind of a very big question, but like, how can physical spaces be meditations? Like, what is the energy created in like these, physical activations where you're using items that are recalling Black specific memories or places, and how does your curation practice, like your practice of curation, function as a meditative practice? There's a lot wrapped up in it, but yeah.
No, you know that's for yeah.
Yeah. I know Jada-Amina wants me to talk about kicking the can. I assume, is that correct?
No, I'm just like, I'm not a curator.
I mean, you be making space, but I mean, I guess. Yeah, I like for me, so like, a year back, I had my first, like, I would say my first, my first like large group exhibition I curated, and called Dreamscapes, Imaginings of the Black Pastoral. And that show was the first time I felt like, okay, this is what I want to be doing. Not in terms of being a curator, but in terms of, okay, specifically, this is what I wanted to give. In terms of what, okay, you go to something that I curated, this is definitely what it's going to give, just throughout at this moment in my career. Of course, like, I can't speak to me 20 years from now, but whatever. And I say that as in, like, okay, I'm thinking about the sound. Jada-Amina's piece, I'm not going to die, I'm going home like a shooting star, was in a smaller, like a small black box space. And there was a church pew in it that was in the film. It was this gorgeous, like, orange church pew. And brought that into the space. Because, like, okay, you see it in the film, you see it in the space, you're able to physically, like, use it as, like, the seating. Got a, like, very, like, lacy, like, forest green curtain and put it at the entry point of that black space, of the black box, as a kind of, like, yeah, like, you have to choose to enter, and, like, it also kind of, like, draws the viewer in differently, and it also makes it just more intimate because of the nature of the film. So, like, just, seeing through the curtain, and then, taking that immediate, like, oh, what is that? And kind of being able to close the curtain behind you and feel also privacy to kind of sit with everything that you're doing. We had asked Jada to pick a scent, pick like a incense scent or some type of scented, like, oil or something. They gave me some, like, I can't remember what scent they picked, and they gave me, like, some oil to dip the incense in. And I had that incense burn, like, every week, especially, like, on days where viewers were coming into the space, specifically in the room that had the screening, because we have, like, Jada-Amina's mother, their grandmother, like, is also the church. And when I think of the church, like the Black church, it's a lot of different perfumes in that joint. Like, the church smells so good because, especially, like, the Black elders, like, the Black matriarchs, you come up and they full. Sunday best also includes just even the scent. You know what I mean? You putting on your best perfume, you putting it on. Literally smell like your grandma. I wanted it to be that. And then even beyond that, like, we're talking about, the Black, like, Black women's legacy, like, in this country. I think a lot about the domestic, like, the homes that we make, and going into some of the women that I looked up to the most as a child. I just think about going into their house and immediately having just such a rich, like, earthy smell. And it's just so good. It's like, oh, so great. Like, and it's suddenly, like, you're in their space now. And that consecration that happens, like, with those smells that just take up the whole space to the point where, like, you leave and you still smell like it. I don't know. There was a lot of things to that. I'm like, yeah, it has to have a rich smell, like the whole space, right? But especially that room, because of course the gallery smelled like it. And then I had Art Trayshawn Williamson, another one of the artists who I recently collaborated with for Kicking the Can. he contributed somewhere to the show, and I was like, okay, so can you help me build a like a earth box, you know, in the middle of the room? So we brought in like soil, and he built this box, and we like lined it, shaped it like a certain way to where it kind of directed the foot traffic of the space. And then we put flowers in it. So like kind of an opportunity for like a garden. I don't know, just like bringing in it. Like the idea is dreamscapes, imagining the Black pastoral. So like, okay, how do we bring in the landscape? How do we bring in the earth? You know, physically, because we're talking about a gallery. So it's like, how do we bring it outside? I like really wet the soil a lot because I wanted to have that really wet, like, you know, like wet earth, like very much so like potent. To where it almost smells like outside a little bit. Because of course, like there's a lot of landscape imagery, you know, in the space. So it's like, okay, just creating a multi-layered experience, like to where even he made a sound piece as well, where there was like the sound of kind of like walking on gravel, walking on dirt. And then I chose a few songs, and like he chose a few songs, and he created this really gorgeous like score where you kind of hear like happy feelings playing a little bit, like in and out. And like the music is like kind of fading in and out. And I was thinking about, okay, what are the songs that you always hear like family reunions, or like those days where you're like, y'all are all having a picnic, or like sitting on the porch at your grandmother's house, like somewhere in the South, and she's playing music from the kitchen. Like, what is the music that you're hearing? So yeah, like even that down to like, okay, what are you hearing as you walk, or like not just when you put on the headphones, listen to certain films, but also what are you hearing as you're just walking around the space? So really trying to like immerse the viewer. And I think that thinking about, okay, not just visual stuff, how are we, you know, building an environment within this gallery that includes smell, touch, sound, all those things at once to really immerse the viewer in the landscape that you're trying to map out, like through that, not just through the work, but also with those finer details. I feel like it's been really successful though so far, because I had the same approach with like kicking the can. And the artists were just so amazing the way it all came together. Like we also did an earth box for that. And this time I was like, okay, what if we did like wood chips? Like, because I recently like was reintroduced to wood chips. I was like walking around at my job, and there was like this like earth, like landscape art or whatever, and there was wood chips, and I was like walking on it, and I immediately felt like I was on a playground. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. I was like, what is to that? Why is it like literally me seeing wood chips and like walking on them suddenly just viscerally puts me back on the playground? And so I was like, we got to use that. And so we found like some mulch that like gave wood chips, and then like some rubber mulch that was like this bright blue. And so like we kind of made a sculptural work with that, had it set up in this like really fun like abstract shape that was like really curvy and stuff. And it kind of like swallowed up like the center of the room and like framed the floating wall. It was just like really, and then there were like poles in the space. So it's also like, how do you use the natural like architecture of the building, the existing architecture, because they're like these really big, awkward, like black poles, you know, like not quite pillars, but like, yeah, like black painted ones. And they were awkward in the sense that there's like 6 of them in there, and they're just kind of like, they're propping up the building, right? They're only serving utility. There's nothing aesthetic about them. And so it's like, how do we kind of lean into that? And Jada-Amina brought this up, like, as I was talking through the first draft of the curatorial statement, like this idea of a jungle gym. So like approaching the gallery space in that way and trying to kind of set the stage. And then we had like an artist, Brianna Robinson, who brought in this like really sick horse head that was like the head of a teeter-totter, you know, and they had painted it this orange and like distressed it a bit. And looking at it, we were talking about like the smell of like that metal like penny smell that you get when you're like on the seesaw. And it's like you get off that seesaw, your hands smell like pennies, and it's so nasty. Like, and it's just like your smell like that for the rest of the day. And then like those visual like you know, those connections that we make even by seeing something, like the fact that you can see something and suddenly smell, you know, something that brings you in the space. Like you see the teeter-totter, you see the like the mulch, you know, and like the blue like pebbles and stuff, and kind of like using that material specificity, and then of course like sound, because like Reggie, again, Archie Sean Williamson, he made this score for that space too, and it was like this really minimalistic, like artful, kind of like a lullaby. Like it was very like do do dee. Yeah, like it was very delicate and like one of those like kids instruments, like baby instruments, very delicate, like tings and dings. And even that, like really bringing it into like baby space, like child space. We had a young girl, like 2 years old, come in with her parents for the opening night, and she immediately like sees the basketball sitting next to Jada-Amina's piece and walks onto the playground, like walks onto the like sculpture in the center of the space, like gets on the mulch and like grabs the ball, and like, and I'm like, yes. And her mother's looking at me mortified, and I was like, no, she's doing exactly the right thing. Like the fact that a 2-year-old came into that space and knew, you know what I mean? Like she sees that, she knows that's the playground. I'm seeing the mulch, I'm seeing like the blue stuff, I'm seeing the ball. This is where I go to play. And so, you know, you have young people coming, you see that, you have like talk to people from all different ages who are like, yeah, this space makes me feel like a child. It makes me want to explore, you know, to look around, to be curious. And so I think like it's about establishing layers, you know, not just putting it on the artist to bring in work that does that, but also to make certain decisions about the design of the exhibition that further that, you know, to fill in those gaps and draw those connections, to where you kind of create this closed, you know, world, you know, that's very much so like it's a like have to, it just puts also pressure on the audience to like make them like, oh, you have to investigate it really hard to get that, you know what I mean? All you have to do is show up and be present, you know, in the space to pick up on that and to access that kind of resonance. Yeah, just being generous, I think. And that's something Janelle Anna Miller said like in our last talk, just like talking about being a good host, and being generous in the way that you present, like making sure your guest has everything they need. You know, make sure there's plenty to eat, make sure like stuff is set up well, to where it's an abundant experience for your guests, you know, making the home. So that's how I approach exhibition making.
Yeah. Let me just say that this is so good. I mean, I wish I could share it. Anisa really can talk, child, because I was able to make this play and start eating. So Anisa said something that in reference to Janelle, who is the one as well, Chicago-based, Janelle Ayana Miller. It is about being a good host, and so I'm gonna reference this essay. Anissa knows which one, but Grandmother's House. Bree, you know the essay as well. Grandmother's House, the radical tradition of collecting, the Black radical tradition of collecting. All of my sensibilities, my curatorial sensibilities, grandma. You know, just from the couch in plastic. Think. That's what our grannies were doing. I'm putting my couch in a what do you call them? The weed man started using them. Vacuum sealer. You're vacuum sealing your furniture? Yeah, I am. Okay, that makes sense. I fucking love it. Right? Really the you can see but you can't really touch it is like that sort of veiling, right? Down to just like the sort of cultural artifacts. Like my grandparents loved signs, like loved like having like little quips and quotes on the wall. Like Yeah, just I can't even think of them. There's just so many. But just like, yeah, like making the home. I'm interested in home curation. Like Anisa knows, when we moved in, I'm still at the space got left behind. I am the child that got left behind in this house. It was so important for me. Like, what would I always tell you, Anisa?
It has to look like the Sophie Hotel.
The Sophie Hotel is a hotel on 53rd. God, I'm talking so I'm so comfortable because I just said 53rd. Like, I'm really in my Chicago bag. But no, like, we used to study there. The first time we went, Cornell West was there. I have to tell that part of the story because that shit was crazy. Yes. And it's just done really well. Like, it's a place you want to be. And so I'm like, if I'm paying rent here, it needs to look like a hotel. Because you pay for hotels and I'm paying the fuck to be here. So I need my house to be cute and I need it to be clean. And you know who instilled that in me? My granny, my grandmother. And so I'm interested in home building. I'm interested in space making and using and that site and the site being used after, or the site just being really the black home. The black home being this site of refuge for black people. Like, you may not, you may get treated like a nigga with a hard R out there, but in here you're home, right? Not that that's always the space, but there's a sort of homemaking is just so critical in a world that is so hell-bent on breaking you down, right? Like, having a place to lay your head, and especially if it looks fly and smells good. I was raised by like neo soul like house heads, and so my house always smelled like incense, like not champa growing up. And I had pillows, like my furniture was from Urban Outfitters when I was a child. Like, my parents were really those black people, right? So you still, and I have things, and we don't have any left, but like Anisa knows, that furniture, some of the furniture that I brought into this space was furniture from my that was what made up my space as a young person. So, yeah, just the way space. I was thinking as Anisa was talking, like, yeah, smell. Like, when you smell a certain smell, it could really trigger that. Like, my mom was like, oh, that smells like my boyfriend from 1,000 years ago. I'm like, damn. Young niggas don't wear cologne, but there's a couple where, if I smelled a scent that smelled like one of my exes, I would be triggered too. Type shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, space making is truly everything. I'm moving. I'm like hopefully moving back into a space where I'm actually like in my practice where I'm making tangible things. So much of my work has been immaterial. But yeah, so I don't know. But I'm thinking about the black home a lot as a site of curatorial, just like magic. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I was dying to talk about it for a minute. Yeah. Space, time, places, practices, energy, all of that. I have one final question, my friends. One last question. So, we're on Instagram. We're on Within Digital. We talk about the digital respite and places of like relief and like communal expression in the digital atmosphere on this platform, Candace and I, anyways. And Rich. And a good amount of your work, both independently and collaboratively, discusses these intimate spaces as they exist, like in the physical or like in the subconscious manner. Anisa, you've articulated the elsewhere and its multiplicity, relevant to kicking the can, and you've talked about the void in your writing relative to like Gone Swimming, your previous exhibition. And I was wondering if you two collaboratively could like elaborate about synchronicities in reality and dreamscapes, how they go together, how they contrast. And that's the last question I have for you. Yeah.
So, can you ask that question again? And Anisa, you can start.
The question is about, can you talk about the synchronicities within reality and within dreamscapes?
I think dreamscapes, and yeah, Jada-Amina, I feel like you definitely could like get into like the dream work, and like what that, because as a nigga who be napping, I also don't want to suggest that I don't love naps. I love naps. I wish I napped more, a lot more. I always tell Jamie I aspire to nap as much as they nap. It's truly a goal. But yeah, I think like dreamscapes and like what I was trying to kind of like start to get at. That was like definitely like a starting point for me, I think, and that's like a seed of what a lot of what I'm doing now. It's like the dreamscape as the site of imagination. Like the dreamscape, thinking like the landscape as the place that we like cultivate and we like, plant seeds and etc. Like thinking that's applying the same logics within a dreamscape and kind of drawing that parallel. It's a space to culture, a space to do the work, and it's also a space for communion. And I think like the synchronicities between the dreamscape and the reality is that I just feel very passionate about the fact, and like this is, I literally say something about it. It's just like, yeah, you need the dreamscape to usher in new realities, you can't, we would just be stagnant in this point, like doing the same old shit, you know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't for the dreamscape, and radical imaginations and like this like meeting in the dreamscape and collectively doing that work, communing to into these new worlds, like in that space, like all that, the seeds that you plant in the dreamscape are what manifests like in our realities, and furthering our realities and futurity, like all of it is interrelated and all of it relies upon each other. And then in the same way, not like the reality also has everything to do with the dreamscape, and that you have to tailor the reality to serve the dreamscape. As a person who has been like debilitatingly overworked many times in my life and like spread too thin, working hella jobs and also doing like independent projects, and then having to reevaluate things and pull away from certain opportunities or things that weren't really opportunities in order to go back to the dreamscape. Like we need space and time. Word to the ministry, you know what I mean? Like you need the space and time in order to go forward, or else you just gonna be on the same shit. Like it was time, every time I was overworked and didn't have time to sit with myself and dream up new shit and just ponder and reflect. Whenever I didn't have time for that, I got really miserable because I just felt like I was going nowhere. I felt like I was dead. Like I was just kind of out of my body and just watching myself go through these motions. And I think like to bring yourself back to the dreamscape is so important to keep moving forward in your reality, collectively and individually. So yeah, it's just kind of the ebb and flow of it.
My phone just does not want to charge, and that's fine. Yeah. In terms of just like synchronicities, really it gave like watch what's in your subconscious. Like today I talked to Anisa, when she called, I was like, yeah, like one, we were both mad tired. I don't get the best sleep anymore, but we rebuked that. Obashaka. Um and so it's, I have been watching like a lot of murder mysteries, and I'm like, I need to stop doing that. Like,
Yeah.
what am I filling up my space with? What am I filling my mind up? There used to be times when I was a shorty, like, where, I listened to like Mad Lil Wayne, like Mad Lil Wayne as a kid, like middle school. And there would be times where I'm like, I'm going to listen to Sting and the Police for like a week straight and like the Black Eyed Peas because like I just felt such a negativity, you know, like I just remember just like being hyper aware of that as a kid. Like, what am I thinking about? Pussy? Money? Weed? Yes, I am. And I am 11. So yeah, let's listen to Message in the Bottle. Let's focus on that. And so yeah, like I mean, I'm a dreamer. You know, it's a birthright as a descendant of enslaved Africans for sure to dream. Okay, so how about that? It can take a lot away though. I'm not gonna lie, but that can't take that away. So it's definitely a birthright. And you know, they keep you so busy in cubicles and at Amazon warehouses, since that's like the new vibe. And all in Instagram, they keep you not dreaming. And that shit is on purpose, because if you cannot dream, you're going to not imagine your way out of a situation, right? And on the plantation, is this a safe space? No. I cannot, no promises. But you know, you can say it for sure. Please say it. But you know, on the plantations, and this is what Anisa's talking about when she talks about dreamscapes, which is her really a theory. The Black Pastoral is the theory, but dreamscapes is a manifestation of that. It's, yeah, we were dreaming of a life beyond. I'm not going to die. I'm going home like a shooting star. Yeah, baby, my physical body might leave, but I'm here. I have an eternal life. And so, you know, yeah, Sojourner Truth was talking about that. Like, Granny was talking about that. Everybody's grandmother was a dreamer. I believe that. I believe that everyone is living proof of that, quite literally. And when I say everyone, I'm just talking about Black people. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Heavy on that. Shout out to grandmas.
What was a wonderful.
Yeah, I love my granny.
Yeah.
They them niggas. I don't care. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us ramble. We didn't know. We were literally like, Anisa was like, I was like, did you ever email them to see what the talk was gonna be about? I'm like, it's gonna be great. We just gonna talk our shit, you know.
That's what it is.
We do usually do a Q&A, so if y'all are still have like a little more time, we might be able to take like one question from the audience, but let me know how you're
Can we
feeling.
do a picture for the thumbnail?
Oh, I was just about to get into some catfish. Yeah, hold on. Sorry.
Hey, that's not good.
Baby, let me just say, I made crowder peas, green sweet potatoes. I made a lot. We eating good. Clearly.
Let's see. Share the audience.
Oh, it's really just one piece of catfish. And what I did with the catfish, I did buy that from Harold's, like I said, but I've been making hot honey catfish. Crazy. Just mix some hot sauce and some honey, put it back into.
That's erotic.
Make sure it's not wet or it'll get soggy. Make sure it's more honey. But yeah, y'all try that. Try that.
Recipes. You can't lose them.
Okay, picture.
Yeah, let's do it without the filter first, Brie.
What do you mean? What filter?
Oh my God.
All right.
I can't take it off.
We'll wait when the filter has disappeared.
Let's see. Okay. No.
It's still there.
While we're at it, did any of you all get that check from Facebook for biometrics? That $400? No. I did, child. Make sure y'all subscribe to it's for everyone. Subscribe to the lawsuit.
Wait, send the link.
It's over now, but Snapchat has. I'll send y'all that one.
Thank you.
Oh, hilarious. I'm gonna eat since we're still having problems.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the mustache.
iPhone 7.
Okay. mustache. That shit was funny.
Yeah. This is so funny.
They might.
Yeah, Bree, you might need to leave and then rejoin if you can still hear me. Uh-oh. Now Jada-Amina is gonzo. This is so funny. Okay, Bree's back. Uh-oh, Jada-Amina disappeared.
No.
Okay. I wonder if Jada-Amina's phone died. What do you think, Anisa? Oh. I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, no, I muted because this person was cutting grass. Like, of course. So, yeah. I'm like, well, you see that I'm on the phone, but you're still talking.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess we, like, lost everybody?
Both of them. I think Bree is probably going to try to rejoin. I'm not sure about Jada-Amina. Bree in the respite.
Yeah, I think Jada-Amina's phone probably died.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure we have a good thumbnail in there.
Did we get the picture?
I was lost.
I'm sure
I
there's
was
one.
lost.
There's probably a clip from somewhere throughout the conversation that we could use as the thumbnail.
Ooh.
But yeah,
I'm back.
thank you. Welcome
Thank
back.
you for being here.
Yeah, Anisa, thank you so much.
This is so great and so fun. Thank you for letting us talk. We both
Y'all
like
smart.
just be trying to get the thoughts out, and yeah, we're storytellers, and right.
Yeah,
Y'all are smart.
So we like to talk about the things and get into all the parts. Because yeah, it's all of it is a part of it. It all matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really great.
Well, is there anything you want to plug before we let you hop off? Because we're going to do some wrap up stuff after you dip. But yeah.
Just like I'm doing, like Jada-Amina mentioned, I'm doing deep dive sessions, which are, it's basically like an artist bio and artist statement vision resource, primarily like for Black artists. And so, yeah, I have like set rates, but I also have sliding scale slots available every month. I'm about to actually like just quit my job yesterday. So I am going to have a lot more slots open outside of like Mondays and Tuesdays. So, and I really am enjoying them. They've been going very well. Everybody's been really happy with like the statements that they walk away with. Like it's just been thoroughly like good responses. So yeah, I want to keep pushing that, and I want to make sure that people are hip to that so that they can like reach out, because I know a lot of folks be looking for help with that type of shit. And it's application season, so let's get the coins, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Jada-Amina just requested to join again, so I think that they're going to pop on. Hello.
Oh, is Bree gone? Oh, Bree's here. Okay.
Bree's back. So we can actually get a thumbnail, and then you can
Yeah.
What should we do for the fun?
We're just gonna look cool. I mean, naturally, but
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is a count of 3. 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Wait.
All right. I think we got it. We got it. And then Jada-Amina, was there anything you wanted to plug? And then after that, we'll let y'all go.
Yes, link in bio. So I had a sound piece in Kicking the Can. Anisa may have mentioned it. Folks were like steady asking if they could find it on streaming, and I'm like, no, of course not. So you can buy my CD. I know that's one of the emojis for today as well. So I love that. Yeah, the link is in my bio, and it's no longer a pre-order. So yeah, they're ready to be shipped. Like, just buy them things.
Period.
Yeah.
And then if y'all want to like name your any tags you have, like Cash App or Venmo or whatever the case may be, just so people can support you, and that the archive will be, filled with that for the future. Just how's your time?
Yeah. That.
Put that.
It's that.
You might want to say it out loud because the chat won't be filled. Saved.
Always feel free to cash at me. My cash app is $ANISM ANISM and Saturday. So specifically, feel free to send me a birthday coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Paris. So seriously, like, and we're, I mean, partially funded, but like the things that we want to do, like we really want to rage, and I want to do some work while I'm out there. So I will keep you all posted, because I'm sure you all will archive some of this on your page. You all, within digital?
Yes, it's all going to be archived. Okay. This whole conversation.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we'll keep you all posted if there's like a fundraiser opportunity, child. Because we would like coin, and I think Anisa was saying kind of got glitchy, but always looking for work. Freelance life is nuts. Like the cultural worker life is just nuts. Like always down for a coin and to like do some work. So hit us up.
Amazing.
Us respectively.
Could you say your cash tag?
Jada, oh yeah, $ Jada-Amina. That's JADAAMINA. It's me literally looking on how to, like, I did not know how to spell my name just now. But yeah, that's the Cash App. It's open for blessing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank y'all so much. This is amazing. Truly.
Thank you. It's been a moment.
It's been a moment. It's been a joy. You all have been really generous. Great questions. Like, obviously, because we could not stop talking. Excited to continue to be in dialogue with y'all. We're interested in digital respites for sure. We just, like, we've been saying, what we've literally been like, I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds like something we want to say. I think I think we do know what it is, but, like, we don't know what it means to y'all.
We're going to have a blog articulating it next month. So
awesome. Congratulations, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we should do it again sometime. I would like to.
Yeah, let's link and build.
So yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
So we're going to wrap up, Bree and I. So, see y'all later.
See you later.
Lots of love.
Laugh out loud.
A laugh out loud.
We're
in the respite. We're in the respite.
We're in the respite. All right, also, thank y'all so much for joining us today. So a few things you should know, a little bit of action items. Please subscribe to our newsletter. It is withindigital.substack.com. So head on over there. We just released a new newsletter a few weeks ago and has some links for y'all. So please check it out.
Yes. And if you haven't checked it out, you should chug along to our website withindigital.net and read my article about Balance Chugs and his lovely, delicious breath. My computer died, so I cannot see the notes, but
yes.
Candace, take it away.
I shall. I got you. All right. And so for other links, please go to our link tree in our bio on Instagram, and that will allow you to stay connected with everything we're doing. You can go there and subscribe to our Substack. You can go to our website. You can go directly to Bree's article. You can go to our playlist. You can go to our YouTube. You can go visit past curated conversations and Midwest connections. And we got it all for you in the link tree.
Yeah. Withindigital.net.
Net.
Linktree? .net. .net.
Oh,
That
you're talking
one.
about the Linktree. But yes, linktree./within digital. And yeah, other things just to wrap it up, please check out our playlist on Spotify called Into the Respite, which is a curated playlist just for you, full of respite music. And also check out our Into the Digital Respite audio podcast, which has audio versions of these talks, so you can listen to it anywhere that you are moving and grooving, and you will hear our voices in your headphones. So
In your
again,
ears.
in your ears.
My dad listens to it.
Ooh.
Hi, Daddy.
Be like Bree's dad.
Yeah. But not bald.
But not bald. You can be bald.
Unless you are bald. Then you can be bald.
Be who you are.
Be who you are. For your pride.
For your pride.
Don't hide.
Don't hide. I mean, that's it. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So
sensational.
Much love.
Big thinkers.
Big brain. Alrighty. Well, until next time. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.